And this is 68.
No, this is 69.
Oh my god, I've been waiting for this episode forever.
Do you remember the scene in Billy Have you ever seen Billy Madison? Turn to page 69. Ha ha ha, 69.
All right, well, there you go. Episode number 69 of Stream of Thought. And we talked today, we begin the conversation by talking about a little bit of time management.
Time management, how you get sucked into distractions, and what you can do to avoid it.
And we also spend some quality time going a little bit back and forth on social media and what is going on there. I mean, I feel like that's sort of textbook generic.
Textbook generic.
Insert to any time period
insert
in the
to
past
any
5 years.
Yes, we pretty much I just vent for a brief moment on just seeing everyone's opinions. Fucking A.
So engaging.
So engaging. Episode 69, Stream of Thought. We hope you enjoy. I text you, I'm going to be over in 15 minutes. Why would you text me? Okay, text me when you're leaving. I saw that. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
And that was why that's why when I got in the car, I responded so snippily. I was like, well, like, if you're leaving in 15 minutes, that ranges from 10 to 25 minutes, depending on if you, like, forget something or whatever. So that was my bad. I misread it. And
when you said, how long you been sitting out here? And I told you, I was thinking of stuff like I said, I was here when I said I was going to be here. I've been out here for 17 minutes. I thought to myself, I'll wait. And if 45 minutes go by, I'm leaving. If 45 minutes go by and he's like, he doesn't text me, where are you? Or he's just waiting, I'm going to leave. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything. And if he's...
I wouldn't make you wait
I know, but
wait 45 minutes. No, it's one of those things where and that's the thing too, is because we've had this, and that's part of the reason why I didn't think too much about it when I saw you out there and I was, like, getting everything together. It took me another, like, 5 minutes to, like, get everything out there, is that we've had instances in the past where I've said, like, let me know when you're leaving, and you'll just show up, like, at a random time. And I'm just like, it used to frustrate me, right? It was something I used to hold on to. I'm like, why the, like, you know, and a lot of times you were, like, on the phone or something like that, and you're just like, oh, I didn't think about, like, texting you. I just drove over. I was chatting with someone, like, whatever it is. And, like, that used to really bother me, right? I was like, oh, this is, like, so frustrating, is that why can't he just communicate as to what, like, if he tells me exactly what time he will be there, I will be ready to go, like, on the moment. But I learned to sort of let go of that, and I'm just like, okay, if he tells me he's going to be leaving his house in 15 minutes, I'm going to assume that 15 minutes and then say, like, 10 minutes, so I'll be ready within, you know, that period, 25 minutes-ish, right? Okay. I will be totally ready. And if you decide to show up 15 minutes early and you're like, I'm ready early, I'll just be like, you know, I'm going off of what I estimated, right? Yeah. Like, so, you know, I apologize because this instance was totally my fault. I misread the text. I totally did it wrong. And I apologize for that. I am sorry.
It's fine. And it's not that.
So, yeah, it is interesting because, like, if this were for whatever reason, like, you texted me, I'm leaving in 15 minutes, and then you got there, like, 15 minutes later, and we had this conversation, I would be like, I have nothing to apologize for, right? Like, yeah. But, I mean, again, it's not like I'm going to be, like, condemning you, like, saying, how dare you show up, you know, you said you're leaving your house in 15 minutes and you're here in 15 minutes, like, how dare you? I've just learned to, like, let it go. And that's the same thing, too, that I've learned with both he who we can name, like, one of our friends, Neil. Like, Neil, when it comes to, like, timing, right? He says he's going to be ready or here by a certain time, right? And I can't remember the number of times we've waited in front of his house to wait for him to get back from, like, working out or something like that, right? And so as soon as you, like, factor in certain elements about a person's, like, whatever, and let it go and just do your thing, like, if we have something agreed on or, like, whatever, and you just do your thing, you don't get frustrated by another person. And that's, like, with Ray, too, in the political sense, right? He, like, says stupid shit, and it's just like, okay, like, just let it go.
Well, a few times when I've picked you up, I know that I'm
know who it
early,
is.
and for some reason, like I got my stuff together way faster. I came over faster. I was already out and closer to your house than I thought I was. But each time when I'm earlier than I say I'll be there, I think to myself, I don't know if Rix is gonna like this. I just got here a little earlier than anticipated. This is gonna throw him off a little bit, and I don't really know what to think of this right now.
Yeah, no, I really don't. I mean, and I try to give myself a 5-minute window, right? Like if you say you're going to be there at a certain time, I try to be ready by about 5 minutes too, which is why I'm normally waiting for you when you get to my place.
Yeah.
And that's the case with like most people, right? You assume a certain time, you move it back about 5 minutes, and you're like, okay, like that should be good, right?
Yeah.
And it used to be, because I think I get this from, like, my mom, for example. When we went to the airport or we had any sort of appointment, we were always there, like, 45 minutes beforehand, like, for an appointment. And then to the airport, we normally were there, like, 3.5, 4 hours early before a flight would leave.
Damn.
And so it's like, but it's always like, you never know if there's going to be traffic, like an accident that keeps you up, or whatever the case is. There's always these unexpected things that could totally delay you by anywhere up to like 2 hours, right? And so you try to factor in that planning. Like, I don't know. And so I appreciate the leniency for like the time allotted, right? Assuming there's going to be something bad going on. But I think the way that I've sort of gone about time management, right, is that unless there is something, like right now, it is snowing like nothing else right now. I mean, we've gotten, like 2 inches in the past half hour. Yeah. It's been crazy. These are huge flakes. So if I was going to the airport tonight, I'd be like, oh, okay, there's a weather factor. Like, I'm going to add an extra, let's say maybe an hour on, even if there is a crash or whatever, we should be able to get through in that time. If it's a normal day, normal conditions, like middle of the day or whatever, not rush hour, I'm not going to get there 3.5 hours early, right? I'm going to go with what the environmental conditions say, right? And with smartphone technology these days, you're able to see, is there a crash? Is there delays? Is there this, that, the other thing? And be able to factor your time accordingly. Like, I don't like to waste time. Right?
Oh, I hate wasting time, and sometimes I get sucked into wasting time, and then I'm productive, and all of a sudden it's like, man, it was so easy to be productive if you just get the ball rolling.
And that's the other thing too, is that I don't know how you are when it comes to getting things done. This was this was applicable for me in ministry as well as school, right? You have a dozen different things that you have to get done. You have projects, you have fraternity stuff going on, you have in seminary I had treasurer stuff. Like, there were all these different balls in the air. Running Sunday school, being a hospital chaplain, all these different things that sort of had checklists, right? I had things done for every sort of thing. Now, luckily, I have ADHD, I believe. And so my mind works on about 3 or 4 different levels at any given time. Like, as I'm talking to you right now, I have 2 multi-train thought processes going on right now. So I'm always having multiple conversations. So it's easy for me to sort of pick out, to switch abruptly, like to move from one thing to another and then just pick up from where that is. But I feel like I get the most done when I have, say, a 2-hour block of time, and I set that aside, and for that 2 hours, I'm not going to allow myself to be interrupted. I'm not going to allow my ADHD to, get me onto something else. This is my time that I'm setting for this particular project. I feel like, in that case, I can get so much more done than just a typical day where you're sort of moving from one thing to another, and, you're not at work, for example. You're at home, and you have maybe 6 or 7 things that you got to get done. You move from one to the other, doing laundry, for example, as opposed to setting aside a block of time where you just focus on one thing. Yeah. I don't know.
I read on an article today that said it's like a bullet point of things that you can do to be more productive or manage your time more effectively. And one of them was don't check your emails as they or don't respond to emails as they come in. check them like once in the morning, once in the afternoon, once in the evening, or like set like a time period where you check email. Another one was when you get on the internet, like do whatever task you do on the internet. Don't spend like the first 15 minutes surfing the web, because that just turns into like 30 minutes, 45 minutes later. And so many times I'm like I'm on the internet, I'm like, oh, I'll just look at this real quick, and then I'll just look at this real quick, and then I'll just look at this. Like 45 minutes go by, and then I close the browser. I'm like, wait, what did I even open up the internet for in the first place? It's
Yeah.
like, shit, I just wasted a bunch of time.
Yeah, we get overwhelmed by things. And I don't know, I mean, maybe that's a thing in our generation where we tend to be so sort of disoriented when it comes to like, well, we set out to do a certain thing, but we sort of get sidetracked by that. And that's where YouTube binging comes in, right? It's like people go on to see a certain video or whatever, and they end up just watching 3 or 4 times more than they actually anticipated.
Yeah.
But, dude, I mean, I feel, again, it goes back to this idea of there are 2 types of people, those who are producers and those who are consumers. Like, if you're not in a attitude of like producing, you're in an attitude of consuming. Like, whether it's your job or whether you're not, you're at like home, recreational time, right? Like, how are you spending your free time? Are you spending free time consuming or creating, like producing, like doing something constructive, or are you taking things from elsewhere?
Yeah, I don't know.
How do you feel like
both?
Yeah, well, I mean, how do you feel like you end up balancing your produce versus consume time? Because I feel like my attitude is I really want to be a producer. I want to create things. I want to be one of those people who's not a consumer, the opposite of consumer. But I find myself on the consumer end much more than I would care to.
I've never thought of it, so I have to pay more attention now, because if you consume too much, then eventually you just feel lazy. And if you produce too much, then I feel like you just get burned out.
I don't think so. I mean, I think that there's like a healthy balance to have, and I feel like
that's what I'm saying. To have a balance, not just only consume or only produce.
But I feel like those that are only consumers end up getting lulled into this complacency, right? Is that their creative images and their ability to just be a free spirit, right, are stifled by other people who are offering these creative voices that are sort of pushing down these other creative thoughts. So you become a consumer and you become part of the, robot legion that follows.
Yeah.
As opposed to somebody who can offer something to the wider populace. And not even that too. Like, for example, if I'm working on finishing up my autobiography right now.
Finally, when's this thing gonna get published?
See, and that's my problem, dude. Like, for a period of maybe it was like 6 months or so.
What draft did I read?
You read draft number
like 3 or 4?
Yeah, 3.
Okay.
I'm on draft 5 right now.
Okay.
So I am halfway through draft 5, but I didn't start working on it until I went down to Florida to visit my grandmother, and I actually had some like free time that I could block off and say I'm going to spend time to actually do this. But even though I have this like creative process in the works, and it's just a matter of like getting off my fucking lazy ass and actually sending the emails that I need to, as opposed to fearing the potential rejection that could come.
Well, have you ever thought of like, because I thought too, when I want to get stuff done, like leave my house and go to the library.
Yes.
As opposed
to change of environment and a change of scenery is so important.
I get so roped into being in my house and in my bedroom, like one thing after another, and all of a sudden I just feel super lazy because I've wasted an hour of doing dumb shit like cooking food. Now I'm gonna clip my nails, and now I'm gonna, pet my dog. I'm gonna do all this dumb shit that like doesn't really matter. That's just wasting time for what I want to get done. Because I'm in a very familiar, relaxed environment.
Yeah, no, I mean totally. It might be what you call a tertiary to-do list. It's one of those third level to-do lists that's like on the super back burner. That's not important whatsoever. Like, oh, I haven't cleaned my room in 2 days. I really
need to brush my teeth right now. I'll go brush my teeth.
I'm gonna brush my teeth. Oh wait, I haven't brushed my teeth in 15 minutes. I'm gonna go brush my teeth again. Oh wait, I totally forgot to floss. I got to go back up to the bathroom and floss now. Oh, now I'm back downstairs. I forgot to use mouthwash.
Let me go eat some chips real quick.
Oh, you know what? I'm waiting for this video to render right now on my computer. I might just want to like browse YouTube videos while I wait for it to render, as opposed to And so even though we have these sort of creative spurts or whatever that are in isolation, I feel like I mean, it really is one of those things, like with my book, where if I act more like somebody who wants to like create and contribute and be a you know, a generator of things, like the opportunity is there, but it's just so much easier to distract yourself with like, I haven't consumed this thing, that thing, the other thing, because like when I'm writing or whatever, I'm missing out on consuming things from other things, and that's why I feel like we're in that position of either producer or consumer. If we're not producing, if we're not, like my mom, she's an architect, she creates lots of things, that's all she does for like 10 hours a day, but then she goes home and she's a consumer. She'll listen to news, she'll watch TV shows, she'll listen to podcasts, like whatever the case is. And I feel like that's the case with most people. They're either producers or consumers. Like, it's one or the other. And yeah, it does take energy, right? Like, you can't always be a producer. You have to have that outlet to be able to allow you to like consume things. But I feel like far too often, Game of Thrones, dude, has totally just diminished my creative capacity. I mean, what they are able to do on that TV show and the artistic ability that they put into the graphics and the virtual reality and digital design and all that, like, that is what I envision in my dreams. And so to see it come to life there is like, well, they've done that kind of thing, right? Like, creativity, totally not worth anything anymore, because here you go. Here's the perfect example of what I could possibly be envisioning right now. It's gone. They stole it. All right. I got nothing.
So you have no aspiration to like reach that
it's harder.
A new tier because it's already in front of you?
I mean, you're in awe sort of at the creative capabilities of these other people, and it's just like, wow. Like, in politics, for example, I listened to a show called Rachel Maddow, and she has a great research team, and every single night she puts together this incredible, detailed, research-oriented show. And when I listen to that, I'm like, oh my god, like, wow, I'm taking in so much information that it takes that extra time to like process that. And I'm like, I don't have time to like create my own individual unique thoughts. It's like, wow, the information that's presented requires that extra space of that would be used for originality, that's now like processing others' works, and saying I have to make meaning of this and like translate this into my own words, as opposed to creating something of your own.
Got it.
Right?
Got it. Yeah, it's tough to. My biggest thing is like I get so distracted so easily with stuff.
Well, I think we all do. It's not unique to you. It really isn't.
That's good to know. That makes me feel a little better. I'm really good at two things. Playing the piano and reading. Setting time aside to play the piano and read. Anything else is like, it's super difficult for me to like focus on the task at hand.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, though, if you have a particular project, anytime, take for example, in the history of Stream of Thought and Straight Up, going back, over 2 years now, right? Anytime that something has been asked, like, can you do something or whatever, like, you get it done. Now, in those periods of time, do you set that time aside, or do you tend to just fit it in whenever it sort of fits in?
I just fit it in.
And do you, like, are you just like, okay. I'm trying, I guess I'm trying to see, like, how that, because for me, I would have to set aside blocks of time to like.
That's what I'm trying to work on, to make a habit of setting aside blocks of time to do stuff, different stuff.
And it's hard too, because not everyone is sort of like that organized, oriented personality, like this, the other thing. And the problem is too, is that a lot of times we have conflicting agenda items that have equal importance, right?
Yeah.
Prepare dinner for your family, or finish the job for your boss, like make sure your family has food, or make sure you keep your job. Like, those are pretty equally important type of projects to. I'm not saying that that's necessarily what you're dealing with, but on all
prioritizing
levels, right?
your priorities.
Yeah, exactly. Prioritizing your priorities. It doesn't have to be like on that intensive a level, but we're always competing with like, do we watch YouTube, or do we practice piano?
Yeah.
Do we read a blog article, or do we write one?
I get sucked in, dude. I get sucked into the World Wide Web, and I'll watch, and because I watch these videos, and I'll think to myself like, this is of value to me. I need to watch this 2 or 3 minute video, and then I watch another one that's like 2 or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, and then, I mean, I spent the most time today watching YouTube videos, and it was maybe 15 minutes. That's the most I've ever gone watching like different videos, unless it's one video that's 15 or 20 minutes. But I watched like 3 videos. It took up 15 minutes of my time. That's the most YouTube binging I've done in a long, long time.
And again, I think that you and I are the exceptions to the rule. I think generally people tend to binge social media or TV or whatever for an extended period of time.
Dude, I caught myself today because I usually I'll check my email and Instagram and sometimes Facebook, like just the feed on Facebook, and I'll look at like messages or something like that. And I think it was today or last night, I had like looked on both the email and Instagram, and then like 10 minutes later I refreshed them. I was just like, looking for a new update. And then like 5 minutes after that, like I got a picture or an email, and I was just like, refresh. I was like, fuck.
You know what? Now that you bring that up, let me...
Right. Fuck you, social media and emails.
Let me amend that. Neither of us are perfect. Like,
Oh,
both
man.
of us actually fall into that because...
How did that happen?
As... I totally retract my statement of except for us, because I think we both do that as well. Now that you mention it, I mean, there was, I think it was 2 days ago or whatever, I remember just looking at my news feed. There's the iPhone news feed that you have, like the news app, and you can like check news stories or whatever. And I found myself like every couple of minutes just picking it up like, give me a news story, give me something new to read, give me something like that is worth my time of reading. And I was like, I spent probably an hour just flipping back and forth.
Or you're just like, I'll do one more scroll.
One more scroll. Like,
one more
exactly.
scroll.
Go down, see if there's anything that's...
Just give me one more hit.
Totally, absolutely unnecessary. But I feel like... And I see that too with the YouTube channel. Like, working with Ray... Oh my god, dude. Like, the amount of time that people will spend watching his YouTube videos, like, I can't even do that, right? Like, how can any of us be wasting so much time, like, what is it? Accumulating and integrating, and what's the other word for it? Consuming so much information that it triggers our endorphins. It gets us very excited when we get new information.
Yes.
It's like it makes new connections and our synapses fire. And so there is something addicting to the next scroll. Like, well, and then you add the reward factor into like the mystery of if I scroll down one more time, what could it possibly reveal to me, right? Like what new exciting thing is just one scroll down. And then you keep doing that, and it's like and then every once in a while you scroll down and you're like, jackpot. Like, oh yeah, this is something I totally needed to read, and it's totally worth scrolling 25 times down to get this one article. And I feel like, I mean, we're all like that. I'm totally like that. I will scroll down until I hit that jackpot of like, oh, here's something I want to read.
You're watching a video, because when you watch a video, you can scroll through the videos, and you watch each video, and then you get to the last video, and it goes back to the news feed, and it's like, what happened to my videos? And then you scroll down on the news feeds to get to a new video, because you know how it is. Like on the news feed, you click on a video.
Is this for Instagram?
No, on Facebook. You click on a video, like let's say it's like kittens or something like that, and that video will pop up, and then automatically after that, it'll play related videos to the initial video you clicked on.
Okay.
It plays like, they'll say there's like 15 or 20 videos, and you can scroll through them, right? So think of it this way, like right here, here's the video, you click on it, boop, this pops up, you're looking at it like this, you can scroll, it ends. Right? And then it goes back to your newsfeed. And then the newsfeed, you can scroll. There's another video. This one's like, let's say, about guns or some shit. You click on that. This video now pops up. And inside this window, there's all these related videos about guns. But what I'm getting at is, like, I'll scroll through stuff, and then I get to the last video, and I don't know it's the last video. And then it ends, and it goes back to the newsfeed. And it's like, what? That's it? where my videos go? Where my videos go?
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is one of those things where I just wonder, like, is there an effective way to necessarily...
Yeah, you just don't. Well, we're not supposed to use Facebook anymore.
Yeah, right. The Huffington Post. Yeah. What? Are we not supposed to?
Where are we going to get our news from? Reputable news sources.
So you bring up guns, and I feel like that's a good
little
transition bridge that we have right now.
Let me say this. So I saw a Facebook post of, it was like I think it was a police officer. And in his video, or in his post, he said, I am a responsible gun owner. I own this type of rifle, which is very similar to the AR-15. And I'm saying that no one needs this gun. There's no reason for anyone to have this gun. And yes, guns can be a tool, but I can use any other gun in substitute of this, and there's no reason to have this. So what I'm doing is I'm going to surrender my weapon to the Brown County or whatever fucking sheriff's department, and I'm not selling it because I don't want anyone else to have it, so I'm surrendering it. I'm leading by example. I was like, shut the fuck up, dude. Shut the fuck up. Give me a break.
Was this like a Facebook thing, or what social media?
It was on Facebook.
Okay. And you just posted this video, and it was being
shared.
No, it was
in a video. It wasn't a video. It was a screenshot of... It looked like he had written this inside of, like... It wasn't Apple. It wasn't iPhone Notes.
But it was being shared.
It wasn't like an email.
It was a note.
It was a screenshot of a note
yes.
that had been written with a computer, not
and
on like...
You saw it because
and then
it was shared.
It was the picture of the paperwork for surrendering the rifle, and the picture of the rifle, and like a picture of like him writing something. I don't know.
Yeah. But it was like a... Okay, but you saw his post directly, or you saw somebody who shared his post?
No, like all the time it's shared posts. I rarely ever... because
really?
If it's shared... Because if it's a direct post, it means it's from someone that I'm friends with. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like some popular individual or some news source or something shared his post, or some friend that I'm friends with, or some weird shit like that. You know how Facebook is.
Yeah.
That posted it.
I don't know how Facebook is these days.
Dude, it's fucked up. So like if someone posts something, I'll see it from someone that's a complete stranger, but that person is like several degrees away from me. So it's like a post from a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend who you know. It's like just weird shit like that.
By the way, if anyone wants to contradict Victor, email us at streamofthought.podcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I can't verify or deny anything that you say, because I have no concept of how this works.
Well, you don't have to really verify or deny anything. It's just something that I saw.
Well, what's interesting, though, is that... I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that.
And then I'll say this real quick.
Yeah.
I don't have my phone with me, which is a surprise. That's probably why I was actively listening when you were speaking earlier. Just kidding.
Fuck you.
But but someone who I did know personally, I read the first sentence. Okay, I've been doing a lot of research, and this is how I feel about guns. Fuck that. I'm not reading that shit. Like, I just don't care about...
research.
I know. I don't care about
in-depth thinking.
Everybody's opinion.
Yes. Well, I mean, and that's what it comes down to, is that opinions... there's a saying. I can't remember what the saying is, but it has something to do with...
Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has them.
Everyone has one. Thank you. That is what it is.
Everyone has them and they all stink.
You stole it out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Or asshole, whichever one. And so that's how I interact with people, too. I take that approach, is that I don't care about what your opinion is. I'm never going to share my opinion unless it's pertinent or, like, blatantly whatever. Like, everyone has an opinion. There's no need to judge another individual for the opinion that they hold.
No.
Right? Like, you can get along fine with anyone who holds a different opinion of you. Just get over it. And to get over it, you have to get over yourself.
And with the stuff that I see, a lot of, like, let's say, for example, gun control, for example, or anything that's been going on the last year or so, and I'll admit, I catch myself for a moment, like the police officer surrendering the weapon, I caught myself for a moment being judgmental, being like, you are an idiot. Like, if you're responsible, you don't need to, like, put this out there. But then I but the reason I just don't give a shit about any of it is because, just like you said, like, everyone has an opinion, and it's like, it's exhausting to absorb everybody's particular facet of one subject. You know what I'm saying?
Here's where I will give a shout out to my sister.
Okay.
She always loves it when I mention her,
Yeah.
on the podcast. But
Shout out to Lizzie!
she's not going to like it because she is one of the most empathetic people who I know, right?
Okay.
She always puts herself in other people's shoes. She always
That's
tries
how
to
my sister is.
She always tries to understand
Yeah.
where another person is coming from. And so she was over yesterday, and we were talking about a friend she has, and this friend is, super needy, super like whatever, and I listen to my sister going on, and I'm like, well, why you focusing so much? Why are you spending so much time and energy on this individual who is clearly just a obstruction to your general well-being
Yeah.
and happiness and everyone around?
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not. Like, I'm definitely not. And I say, well, what do you mean? And she's like, well, I've never talked to her. I've never tried to change her or to criticize the way that she behaves. I'm like, but we've just been talking for about 20 minutes, and you've described to me not only what her issues are, but the core, like, origins of those issues as well. It's like, you've spent a lot of time sort of deconstructing this individual, and citing all of these sort of individual instances is that, you're keeping a list, right? You're keeping a list of all the times that they did this one thing, showed up late, or didn't come out on time, and the list builds to confirm your hypothesis that this person is a certain way. And that takes a lot of time and energy. I used to do that with Neil all the time. Like, I might still have it on my phone, but an old list of, like, the number of times where he was not on time when he said he would be, and it was well over 50%. But I came to realize, and I came to a certain point where you just have to, like, let it go, right? You accept a person and their flaws for who they are, and you adjust accordingly, right? If you know that they're the kind of person who's going to be late, right? You say, okay, well, I'm going to bring something to do from the time that I get there until the time that I'm sure that they'll show up, which could be 15 minutes or whatever.
Or
that
just
could
show
be
up a
15
half hour to 45 minutes late.
Yeah. Oh, you show up a half hour to 45 minutes late, but you at least have something to do. You have an alternative that doesn't disrupt your own schedule. And so for me, it's like, okay, well, certain personality characteristics, like, say someone's, like, overly aggressive in conversations, you just prepare yourself to be a mild participant and not to try and be like, well, this person's an overly aggressive person, so I'm going to try and engage them on sort of an equal level. Just be like, I'll absorb what they have to say. I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to take it personally. I'm not going to, like, integrate it and make me upset. I just am going into the conversation assuming this is what's going to happen. And by just taking that sort of defensive posture and saying, I do me, right? I always have something that, like, I can be focused on, that when you come to those moments, those impediments, you're like, it doesn't really bother you. It sort of just washes off. Whether you show up, you show up on time and the person you're waiting for is 45 minutes late, you bring something that will occupy your time for hours. And then while you're waiting for them, like, you just do that and it doesn't bother you. Waiting for them doesn't bother you anymore. If you're dealing with someone who's, like, an asshole, like, you either, one, avoid them, or two, sort of prep yourself for them and just not try and argue with them and just say, okay, like, I hear what you're saying, offer your feedback, but don't ever integrate it into, like, your own personal world.
Yeah.
Because it takes way too much time and energy to, like, put yourself in other people's shoes, which is what we tend to do.
This is really funny because the other day I saw on Facebook a thread of comments with two people who we know. And I've seen this once before with a different person. Like, there was this person that said something, and, like, it's just so I don't know how to describe this. It's just so perplexing that adults would put themselves in positions where arguments are being made on social media. Like, it's just, like, one comment after another. And it's funny because one of the people who got offended was just really using just like foul language and all this, and the two people we knew like held their own, like, oh, okay, thank you, like using almost killing them with kindness type of thing.
Yeah.
But still, I wouldn't give that type of stuff any attention, like good or bad, really. Like I fucking hate.
In regards to your personal engagement, what do you mean by attention?
In regards, yes, personal engagement.
So if somebody wrote that on your thread or whatever, or you shared something and somebody responded in a way that was like, "Whoa!" Like I had no idea that somebody. This comment was going to evoke a 10-page.
I would limit. I would either probably delete it or respond with one comment, as opposed to commenting, and then that person comments, and then I comment on that comment, and then it becomes this whole string. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe it's just theoretical, but I feel like if somebody were to do that to me, just because I'm not on social media, and if I were to post something and someone were to like go off the rails or say something like, I would my inclination would be like, let's have a conversation like off.
Yeah.
Line. Like let's have if they're in the area, let's have a coffee. Like let's sit down. Or if they're virtual, like, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while, like, let's Skype, like, what's up, like, how's it going, kind of thing. And once you remove that sort of impersonal barrier of social media, and you are forced to confront the fact that the person who you're talking to or condemning or screaming at is another human being who is equally, like, a good person, it totally changes the dynamic. Because the way that people talk to each other online is not the way...
it's funny because this
not
person...
the way that people talk to each other in
like,
person.
oh, you're a weak-ass bitch. Like, you guys are a bunch of pussies. Like, this and that, and this. I'm like, there's no way this short, fat kid would be talking like this to the two people who I know. There's no way.
I guarantee
in person.
you
There's no way.
That comment about me being, like, a white person on Philip DeFranco who, like, listens to black people's, comments and conversations, the sort of shit feedback that I ended up getting, I guarantee
it could be like a 7-year-old shit talker.
90% of them would not say that to my face. I guarantee that. And that is fine. Like, it's totally fine. But it's revealing, right? It's revealing as to the disparity between what somebody is willing to say behind the cover of a screen and behind the impersonality. It's like, because we all feel these emotions, right? You read the news, or you read the newspaper, you watch TV, like you see nightly news, and there are certain things that like just boil your insides, right? Like you're just like, how the fuck can the world be working this way? How could this fucking person do this sort of thing, right? And so on social media, it gives us that barrier to be like, vent our poison outward, right? The anger and the hatred and just the venom we feel towards other people. We're able to put in words, and we're able to click the post button. Yeah. And suddenly, it's not just us. The world knows what we're thinking, and that is such a positive and affirming experience that everyone knows how we truly feel. And we've expressed the fullness of our dispassion and discontent.
And then you get fired by your employer.
And then you get fired by Google. And then it ends there.
Then you get fired by your employer.
But it's crazy, dude. Like, I mean, we spend so much time and energy. And this is part of the crazy thing that listening to someone like Phil DeFranco on a daily basis, he has this occasional segment called Douchebag of the Week, and it's normally the story of this person who's done something on social media that is just so outrageous and so disgusting and so despicable that you could not help but feel like this gut instinct of loathing towards this person, like, I wish you were never born kind of thing. And it's like, there is no purpose of sharing that segment other than to get people's juices flowing and to be like, where can I find this person and send them hate mail kind of thing. Because, I mean, you know, he covers, like, child pedophiles, defenders of child pedophiles, like, domestic abusers, murderers, you know, like, all these sort of people who say these things on social media that's just so outrageous. And it's like, I believe all women should wear chastity belts. Yeah. Like, you know, something like that. And he covers it. And it's like, well, of course that's stupid. Of course, like, and you start having an argument with yourself, right? Where you're like, this is so ridiculous. How could anyone possibly argue? They would say this, and then I would say this in response. And they're just totally stupid. Yeah. And so I feel like it feeds this unnecessary energy cycle where we're arguing with ourselves because no
agree.
one's listening.
No
to us
one's
when
listening.
We post a comment on social media, and yet we spend so much time and energy thinking about the exact precise words that we're going to use to convey our points because we're so righteous in our position.
I agree.
It's crazy.
I'm like mentally tired just talking about social media.
Dude, we got a shit ton of work to do after this too.
Yeah.
So don't get tired.
Well,
Where are we at right now?
like 40 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
So
I what? Were
some
you saying?
guns. We never actually talked about
Dude,
guns, man.
that could be another episode altogether.
Oh, we can tape tomorrow.
No, we can tape on next week. But yeah. Until next time.